Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the starting grid here in Hungary at the Hungaroring, and it is time to go racing in the Eastern European TCR. The cars are already lining up on the starting grid, and as you can see, it's the Yannick Motorsports Hyundai Elantras forming up the first three positions. So it was a clean qualifying sweep for the Czech team. And let's see the drivers who are actually starting on the top positions. It is your championship leader. He was first in qualifying, and Matthew Homola. You've had a dream start to this season, a victory, you are the championship leader, and now your first pole position. So what can be expected in the race?
Yeah, as always, when you know, the competitors are really fast. So first of all, it's important to have a good start because it's quite a long way to the first corner. There is good opportunity for the overtaking. So yeah, the important thing is to have a good start and then try to manage the tires, not to do any mistake, and hopefully we can make a good result.
Okay, thank you. Have fun. And alongside Matthew Homola is the junior standings leader, but also already a race winner, Carlo Cepiel. Carlo Cepiel, he said he would be happy if he scored at least one victory, and he already did. So, Carol, hi. You've already took a victory last time in Oschersleben. Now you are standing again on the front row. What can be expected of your race?
I think I'm a little stressed. You know, my second round in the, you know, on the cars. I think if I do the good start, it's be a good race.
Thank you very much. That's Carlo Cepiel for you. And now we have to leave the grid. So as mentioned, it's the third car of Yannick Motorsport. So it's top three finish in the qualifying for all of the three cars. A clean sweep for the team. And behind them, it is René Kircher and David Kajaya in fourth and fifth. And that should be a great battle into the first corner. Let's go and enjoy it. And so the drivers are ready on the starting grid, as you've just seen. And we've got the starting grid ready. Everybody in positions for the formation lap. So it is Yannick Motorsports 1, 2, 3 from Matthew Homola, Carlo Cepiel and Adam Colt. Behind them, it is René Kircher and David Kajaya in fourth and fifth. Great result from their team as well. Alongside them, returning back to the championship, the Vukovic Motorsport. And it is actually Milan Vukovic, whom we saw in the past seasons in the Renault Twingo Cup, now making his way up again. He already raced the Renault Megane last season in Poland, in Poznań, in that round, which we are unfortunately not contesting this season. But Milan Vukovic has beaten his father in today's in today's qualifying, basically, and they are actually starting right behind each other. They are 6th and 8th, which means that they are both taking the even numbered positions on the grid. From this picture on your right hand side, the green, predominantly green Megans, and Milenko Vukovic is going to have his son right in front of himself in his sights for the race start. Between them, across the grid, in the odd-numbered 7th position, it is Petr Čížek with his Cupra Leon. Behind them, it's Giacomo Germandi, P9, and Petr Fulin Jr. this time in 10th place. His dad raced in the season opener at Oschersleben, but right now it is his son, Petr Fulin, who is making his racing return. He raced a long way back in Skoda Octavia Cup, but now he's back for the TCR Eastern Europe. 11th place, Filip Dietrich, and in 12th, Karol Wittke with the other Cupra, fielded by Fulin Race Academy. In 13th, it's Tobias Poschik, last year's Renault Clio Cup champion. He's now moving up to Eastern European TCR with Aditis Racing's team and the previous generation RS3 Audi. Alongside him, Žarko Knego. He did enjoy a pole position or front row start in Germany, but actually, unfortunately, that didn't really lead to a good result as he had to retire from that race. So now he starts 14th. Behind him, Sebastian Steibel. He did pretty well on his home soil at Oschersleben, but here in Hungary, the qualifying wasn't the best. Alongside him, his teammate and team boss, Radim Adamek. In 17th, Sebastian Kolakovsky. 18th place, Adam Řepecký, and behind them on row number 10, Ivars Valers from Lithuania and from Latvia, and Vít Smejkal, who was supposed to join the grid for the season opener as well, but because of health issues and the bad back, he had to skip the first round. But now he's back and he's ready to start his season. Yeah, a tad later, but start the season still and get racing in 2023. So we are now reaching the final sector of the track. It's 4,381 meters, so 4.4 kilometer racetrack, and we are again getting ready to get going. It's a 20-strong field. So a very, very good competition, which is definitely great to see. And let's see how the race unfolds. Last year, Hungarian round was the season opener, and Matthew Homola was also taking part, but he was actually debuting the then brand new Elantra, which wasn't even liveried. It was so fresh from the factory that the cars appeared completely blank and white for the season opener, together with Joachim Galash, as they then went on to do the European TCR campaign. But this time, Yannick Motorsport is fielding the Elantras for the entire season, and it is the trio of the Hyundai factory colors in the top 3 positions of the starting grid. And in just a matter of seconds, we are going to be racing here in Hungary. Red lights are on, and away we go. Matthew Homola from pole position. There is a slow start, and that's Petr Fulin Jr. who didn't get a good getaway. Also, Vít Smejkal seems to have stalled on the grid, but it's the Elantras now trying to defend hard from the Honda Civics. And look at that, it is René Kircher moving into the race lead. What a start from the Hondas. There's also contact, three-way contact in the first corner. One of the Hyundai spinning and being very slow through the field. And that's a chaos in the opening corner, but it is René Kircher leading the race from one of the Megans, which must be Milan Vukovic. And then the other Honda, driven by David Kajaya, and the other Renault Megane, driven by Milenko Vukovic. Where are the Hyundais? There are 6th, 7th, maybe 8th. They are dropping down the order like a stone into the pond. What happened to the Korean cars? They are simply having a terrible start of the race. Clean sweep of qualifying, top 3 positions, but now it's all turning on its head for the Yannick Motorsport team. There's also Petr Čížek drifting sideways as he's trying to get some advantage of his own from that. But that's a big drama for Yannick Motorsport. to open the start and open the race with. So we have got René Kirchner leading the way. And there are the Hyundais, the number 70, that's Maťo Homola. Car number 68, that's Adam Colt. And it seems that the biggest loser of the opening corner near chaos is Carlo Cepiel, who lost a terrible amount of ground. There's the Adidas Racing's Audi, well, both of them actually, the newer one and the older one, in close succession, trying to fight with the car number 32, which of course is Carlo Cepiel. And in front of them it is Filip Dietrich in his Cupra Leon Competizione. So René Kircher leading the way from Milan Vukovic, David Kajaja and Milenko Vukovic. And all the Elantras are so down the field right now. And it's the Hondas and Renaults leading the race in the top 4 positions. Then it's Giacomo Germandi actually all the way up to 5th in his RS3 Audi. And only then we've got the Janik Motorsport, Elantras, Adam Colt in 6th, Homola 7th, Petr Čížek was down in the 8th, yeah he is. He also actually dropped compared to the start in the end. He was momentarily up on his grid position as he fought with the Elantras, but they now demoted him further down the field. And there is the orange and white car of Filip Dietrich as he's trying to defend from Sebastian Steibl in the remaining top 10 positions, 9th and 10th. And then we have Carlo Cepiel, Tobias Pošik, Žarko Kněgo, Petr Fulín had a slow start and he's now down in 14th, Adam Řepecký 15th, Karol Wittke also a poor getaway, 16th place for the German, Sebastian Kolakovsky kept his 17th place, then Ivar Svalers, Radim Adamek and Vít Smejkal, who joined the race a little later because he stalled on the grid and had to complete a restart his procedure and get going once again. Well, let's say eventually. But it is René Kircher, the German driver, who is now leading the race and trying to defend from Milan Vukovic. But Vukovic is hot on his heels, only quarter of a second between the two. So it would be great if we can now cut back to that shot, because there is definitely a fight for the race lead. Vukovic is now taking the first spot off the hands of René Kircher. There it is. Milan Vukovic has overtaken René Kircher and he is now the new race leader. Milan Vukovic, last year, this time out, still a Renault Twingo racer, and now he is a TCR Eastern European race leader. So Vukovic from Kircher, Kajaja 3rd, Milenko Vukovic in 4th from Adam Colt. So Giacomo Germandi is now being demoted further back the field, and Giacomo Germandi has now lost a couple of places as the Elantras have dealt with him. Adam Colt in 5th and Maťo Homola in 6th. It's going to be a big catch-up from the Janik guys. There they are in close succession. Maťo Homola seems to have a tad little more pace than Colt, but this is a good track for a good defense. So if you can make your car as wide as possible, it's going to become very tricky indeed for the driver right behind you. And there's the fight. Is Adam Colt still ahead? He seems to be. Maťo Homola found himself off the track momentarily as he went over the AstroTurf and skipped across the tarmac runoff area. Now he's back, but Petr Čížek having a look down the inside on Giacomo Germandi. And there is Sebastian Steibl still following very closely the car of Filip Dietrich. Filip Dietrich currently in 9th from Steibl, who is 10th. And Milan Vukovic has set the fastest lap of the race. He's the first one to drop below 1:54. He did 1:53.993, so only just, but still. But René Kircher was a full second slower on that previous lap, which means that now Milan Vukovic is trying to run away with it. And the newly earned race lead is something that he is not going to want to let go that easily. Carlo Cepiel, we just interviewed him briefly on the grid, on the front row of the grid, and he is currently only 11th behind these two. There it is, the Elantra, and he will be looking to get himself back into the top 10. Philipp Dietrich defending hard from Sebastian Steibel. Well, 7 minutes have only passed in this race, but it already feels like infinity, because so much has happened already that it feels like the race has already been really long, but it hasn't. It's only been an opening couple of minutes. Philipp Dietrich making a mistake, running wide on the exit of that right-hander, and that opens the door for Sebastian Steibel, who is not going to need a second invitation. Philipp Dietrich now being forced wide in that fight. Sebastian Steibel really wants to stick with that one, but Philipp Dietrich positioning his Cupra very well. Still a door opening for Steibel into the final right-hander, and that is a good car positioning from the young German. Sebastian Steibel is now definitively winning the 9th spot, but of course we are now running along the pit straight, and there is going to be another fight into the first corner. Sebastian Steibel left some room down the inside, but in the end he manages better braking, and that means that there is no chance for Philipp Dietrich, and he's opening the door for Carlo Cepiel. Cepiel trying to have a look of his own. They are now running down the hill into the second corner. Around the outside he has to go, but as already mentioned this weekend, the second corner is definitely not a place where you cannot overtake. Around the outside, but Carlo Cepiel unfortunately outbraked himself a little, and that left the door open for Philipp Dietrich, who took the opportunity and clung on to that 10th spot at least. There is Tobias Poschek in close succession as well with the other Adidas Racing's Audi. That's the car that took Bartosz Groszek to last year's Eastern European TCR title. And behind him it is Petr Furin Jr. trying to follow closely with his Cupra. So what a race. It's been really, really tense and exciting. In the race lead, meanwhile, Milan Vukovic already has more than 2 seconds of a gap for himself. And René Kircher in second from David Kajaya. So far, it's a very successful race for Mertel Motorsport. Which has both of his Type R Civics in the podium scoring positions. Interesting fight shaping up between Milenko Vukovic and Maťo Homola. We are still yet to reach the halfway mark of the race, so still plenty to be fighting for, and Maťo Homola still has every chance to promote himself back into the podium fights. And now look at that, Milenko Vukovic is really fighting with his Megane. Oh, look at that! That was a pretty sideways moment for Milenko Vukovic. beautiful stuff, but definitely not from where Vukovic is sitting. Oh, and look at that, another sideways moment. Those rear tyres are shot, it seems. And Mathieu Homola, a very experienced TCR driver, he knows full well that he simply needs to keep the pressure on for a little bit more, and he must be able to clear the Swiss driver. Milenko Vukovic scored a victory last season in Austria, I believe it was at Red Bull Ring. So the Megane has already shown that it is fast. But that is not going to hand Milenko anything for free. If anything, it's actually definitely going to be rather difficult against a driver of Mathieu Homola's rank. He has got plenty of experience, even from European TCR, where he scored victories in the past. He even has a World Touring Car Cup race win to his name. So he's driven against the finest rank of touring car drivers around the world already and succeeded among them. So that's definitely a force that needs to be reckoned with. Milenko Vukovic is defending. Mathieu Homola having a quick look just to unnerve the Swiss driver. Vukovic also experienced. He and his team, they developed the Megane in the past seasons, and I think it is incredibly fast down the straights. Back onto the start and finish straight we go again. In the meantime, Vukovic's son Milan has been leading ever since that successful overtake on René Kirchner, and he's already enjoying a nearly 3-second gap in the lead. Ooh, and that's a big fight between the Audis. Well, among the Audis needs to be said, because there's 3 of them actually. And that was Giacomo Germandi in the fight. But that must mean that, sorry, that was actually Ivar Svalers. So those were Adam Řepecký, Ivar Svalers and Radim Adámek. And there is Filip Dietrich still holding on to his position, and shaking off the pressure from Carlo Cepiel so far successfully. But we've still got just under 10 minutes of this race that has been absolutely exciting. Wonderful, wonderful stuff from all the drivers. So it is Milan Vukovic leading from René Kirchner and David Kajaya. Not a single Yannick Motorsports Elantra on the podium places with 10 minutes to go. Mathieu Homola still trying to find his way through and past Milenko Vukovic. There is a fight for 4th between them. Adam Kout following them in 6th overall. Petr Čížek up to 7th. Steibl up to 8th. Giacomo Germandi down to 9th. Dietrich, Cepiel, Pošík. That's another group that's formed together and is fighting at the end and right behind the top 10. Dust being kicked up here and there as the drivers are trying to make their cars as wide as possible and make their racing lines as straight as possible. Ooh, and that's a big shunt for Adam Rzepecki, who pierces his Audi into the barrier head-on in one of the corners, possibly the second corner of the track. No, that's actually the first corner of the track. So that must have been a pretty significant shunt, and that might actually bring out a safety car, because that's, yeah, safety car boards are now being shown while Milenko Vukovic has left the track right in front of Maťo Homola. That was probably going to hand the position to the Slovakian driver, but right at that time the yellow flags and the safety car boards were being brought out, which meant that Maťo Homola was not able to benefit from that, and he stays behind Milenko Vukovic. Safety car is out, and that is going to bunch the field right together. So this should be interesting for the remainder of the race. There have already been gaps among drivers, but now everything is neutralized and all the gaps are cancelled. 7.5 minutes away from home in this race. We have got Adam Rzepecki, who put his car in the tires in the first corner. So not the way he wanted his car to end. We of course hope that Adam is fine. We've not seen him ever since that incident. So the safety car is out. It's the all-electric Renault. Behind it, it's the all-petrol Renault. And there is Adam Rzepecki still sitting in the car. That was quite a big accident, actually. You see that the whole front end is heavily damaged, the bonnet is all bent up, and the car went straight on into the tire barrier. So we do hope that all is well with Adam Rzepecki. The track marshals are at the scene of the accident. This is going to neutralize the race for some time, and we might actually even have a safety car finish. That would be definitely unfortunate. Because the race was shaping up to be really exciting. I mean, it has already been exciting, but we were really looking forward to a suiting end to it, and we still hope we get that, but there is not a whole lot of time for that. So let's just hope that the clearing activity is rather quick, and the race is red flagged. The race is red flagged, yes. There are red flags being shown, at least at this marshalling post, now all the other ones as well. So the race is red flagged. Well, the marshals are surrounding Rzepecki's car. I haven't seen him step out of the car, honestly. But of course, if there was anything going on with him, I would expect the track marshals to actually open the door and try and communicate with him. But from the camera that we have, it's not really clearly visible whether Adam is still sitting in the car or if he's left, because we didn't really see that moment when, well, we wouldn't have seen that moment. Okay, we now have to wait and see if the race is only suspended or it's going to be called off. But it seems that it's going to be called off and we will not restart the race, which is very unfortunate. The cars are now being directed to Parc Fermé, which is only a signal that they are not going back to the grid. You can see on your screen that the cars are now turning behind, well, into the paddock, basically, not even into the pit lane. Normally, if the race would be, yeah, there is Adam. There is Adam. So that's all we need to see. Adam is fine. He's standing there, and yeah, he's only hurt his ego, which is, yeah, he can live with that. Anyway, you see that the cars are now being directed into the paddock area, into Parc Fermé. So if the race were to be restarted, you would see the cars stop on the grid and they would be waiting for the restart, but that's not going to happen right now, which means that Milan Vukovic is about to score his first victory in the Eastern European TCR, and that of course also means that we have got 3 different winners out of 3 opening races of 2023. It's been a very, very unfortunate and very poor race from Yannick Motorsport, who completely dominated the qualifying earlier on today and locked out the 1, 2, 3 in the qualifying and on the grid. But then the opening lap was a complete disaster for the Elantras. They dropped down the order. We've got Mathieu Homola 5th, Adam Colt 6th, and Carlo Cepiel only 11th. Whereas there were other fast starters. Those were both Vukovic Motorsports, Renault Megans, and both Mertl Motorsports Honda Civics. And it is Milan Vukovic. Who would have thought last year, when he was here, he was racing a car which has a tiny, tiny little engine. You actually see you can actually maybe see the Renault Twingos now getting ready for their race, and those are cars where they have tiny little engines. If you want to ask their displacement, their engine volume in liters, there's not even one. It's just under 1 liter. It's a tiny engine with 78 brake horsepower. So it's probably got only as many horses as I have seen in my life, not one more. And Milan Vukovic made a step up into TCR World last year in Poland, and now he's back for the Hungarian round, and he's opening his season with a victory. And you can't say it's sort of let's say a lucky victory. No. He fought for it. He made a good start from 6th. He went all the way up to P2 at the start, and then beautifully dealt with René Kircher, which now hands Milan a race victory. René Kircher in 2nd, David Kajaya is completing the podium in 3rd, and behind them it's Milenko Vukovic, Mathieu Homola, Adam Colt, Petr Čížek, Sebastian Steibl, Giacomo Germandi, Filip Dietrich. That's the top 10, and this is Adam Řepecký walking away from the scene of his shunt. Behind the top 10 you've got Carlo Cepiel, Tobias Pošik, Petr Fulín Jr., Karol Vitka, Žarko Knego, Sebastian Kolakovský, Ivar Svalers, Radim Adámek, Vít Smejkal, and of course the only non-finishing driver, Adam Řepecký. So that's it for the, well, in the end, overly dramatic Eastern European TCR race number 1. And we are now going to get ready for the season opener of the Renault Twingo Cup, and that is going to be quite something.
rendben.